What if I were to tell you that you can manifest any desire to come into your life within the simulation? Because you're living in a simulation right now. It's a high-tech simulated game that's controlled by you tricking yourself to believe that you already have something when you don't actually have it yet. This is what I'm going to teach you how to do in this video, because this is how you manipulate and control the simulation. You don't try to trick the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is non-selective and impersonal, but you convince yourself consciously to believe that you already have your desires. Your desires are already met. You're not waiting for something to happen within the simulation for you to feel a certain way. You start to feel a certain way before you actually get that thing, and that's what attracts it to you. Because the simulation is actually dual-natured. It's controlled by a conscious part and then the subconscious part, but you are in control of the conscious part, and that's everything that the subconscious mind feels, and then it generates that back out into the simulation for tomorrow, next week, and next month. But what are you conscious of? And you have this ability to persuade yourself to believe certain things and trick yourself to have certain emotions and certain feeling states that you have already acquired a desire that you're trying to manifest. And you'll start to notice glitches within the simulation that start to mirror this back to you. And this is actually the real way to use the mirror principle, because the reflection from the subconscious and the conscious part is just being pushed out within the simulation and mirroring back to you your identity of who you are. But you're in control of this internal reflection, the internal reflection within yourself that's then programmed within the subconscious and pushed out. So the simulation is just a reflection of who you are within yourself on the mirror principle. But as you convince yourself of a new belief, even if it's a short temporary time, but you wind up falling asleep with this feeling and convincing yourself 100% that you now have something you didn't have 5 minutes ago, even though the simulation hasn't given you that. That's when the simulation has no choice but to mirror that identity back to you. So it's about concepts of self, you changing your concept of yourself within and believing now, even if it's a short amount of time, but there's a certain moment in time that you have to carry this feeling state over. So once you carry this feeling state over into the subconscious and convince yourself consciously of this, the simulation has to reflect that back to you. It has to give you everything that you believe and consent to being true based on this new concept of self that you've created. And I'll give you a really good example of this with my own success growing my brand and my YouTube channel. Okay, I was about maybe 1,000 subscribers when I started to do this. Okay, I was starting to get momentum, but it was kind of not really growing to a really, really fast level right away. So I went into a flow state where I took 10 deep breaths, where I'm still conscious, but I was in a state where I was disassociated with the three-dimensional simulation. Okay, I would disassociate myself. I would take 10 deep breaths, get really super relaxed, and detach myself from the simulation and what it was showing me, just getting into this completely relaxed state. And then I would visualize or just create an image. I would create this image in my mind where I see, my YouTube channel, like I'm on my phone and looking at the image of my YouTube channel, and I see a certain number of subscribers, say 35,000. That was one of the first ones that I had done. And at this time, I was about 1,000 subscribers. It wasn't growing very quickly, but I wanted it to, okay? And I felt myself into this. So as I'm holding my attention on this for about 30 seconds to a minute, without my attention drifting anywhere else, completely absorbing myself into this feeling state, in this relaxed state, in this drift state where I'm not completely conscious, but I'm not in the subconscious, or I'm not unconscious, but I still have control of the direction of my attention. But I feel this to be true, okay? And then I come out, as soon as I come out of this visualization, and then boom, I have a script, but I go off of script. I move the script over here. I have a completely different idea for the content that I'm about to create. And the reason why that happens, where I didn't want to use the script that I had prepared for the video, is because I became a different version of myself. I changed my concept of myself, so the simulation has to change at that point because I'm doing something different. I've connected with those 35,000 people that I now have my brand and my YouTube channel now has 35,000 subscribers. So now I connected to a different idea where I'm going to connect with that many people. So the content that I create is actually going to be associated with what 35,000 people potentially want to see. So I'm connected with these ideas that are going to reach that many people. So then I go off script and I create this new video where it's got completely different topic than I had prepared, because I changed my concept of myself, and the simulation has to mirror that back to me. So this video that I create, when I do this, gets way more views, and I start driving in new traffic, new subscribers. My channel's just exploding at this point. And it took me, I think, 9 weeks to get to that 35,000 subscribers from that initial point. But because the simulation has to mirror back your concept of yourself. It has no choice but to do that. And when you start to change your concept of yourself and convince and trick yourself that you already have something you don't quite have yet, the simulation has no choice but to start changing things. It gives you new ideas. You start to walk through doors. Doors start to open. You become magnetic to start attracting this stuff to you. What I did essentially with this example that I'm giving you is I convinced and tricked myself only for a short amount of time right before I was about to do something where a door was open, where I had the potential. Okay. I had a YouTube channel. There were some people that were watching that channel, but I wanted to create it and make more of that. I wanted to create and drive more people to my channel, my business, or whatever it is. You're an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter. You're trying to bring more money, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. You have to change your concept of yourself first. But what I did was trick and convince myself that I had something when it wasn't actually in the simulation yet. But I tricked myself, and I had a vehicle right in front of me. The camera was right in front of me. As soon as I came out, I turned the camera on and I created a video, because I unlocked that feeling state. I convinced myself for that short amount of time, and then I created some content based on that new concept of myself. And then I recorded it, and then I shot it out within the simulation. Okay, but I impressed through the subconscious, through the dual nature of consciousness, the conscious part. I convinced myself of it. Then as I'm convinced and I'm tricked of it, the subconscious mind feels that, then it sends it right back out into the simulation, the screen of space. Okay, that can all happen even when you don't go to sleep at night. You don't have to always do this as you're going to sleep at night. But like Neville Goddard says, going to sleep at night is a very powerful way to do it also, because you're going into that camera mode. Okay. When you're falling asleep, convincing yourself as you're going to sleep at night that you are already somebody that you're not already. You're tricking yourself. And then when you fall asleep, it's just like having the camera on. The subconscious mind feels the same thing. You're recording that feeling state that you had as you're going to sleep, that you're now somebody new. And I have another powerful example to give you where you could also use this as you're going to sleep without even having to visualize. Okay. I had this issue with a partner from a previous business that was buying a very, very high scale or a very, very expensive product from me. It was a few $100,000. And everything was locked in with the deal. But at the last minute, this person said they didn't want to do the deal anymore. They said they wanted to sleep on it. They needed some more time. And I kind of got the feeling that they just wanted to back out of it. And I already had it locked in. I'd already told like 3 other people that they couldn't buy it, that it was already sold. And so I had lost the other sales as well. They had already locked in with somebody else. So I completely lost this deal. So I told them, I said, all right, fine, that's cool. But if you change your mind, just let me know. But it probably won't be here for very long. And then what I did was that night, as I was going to sleep at night, I did the same exact thing. Okay. But I was going to sleep at night and I asked myself questions. Okay. So I took 10 deep breaths. I'm laying in a position I normally wouldn't sleep in, because I want to create this feeling state. I want to trick myself that conversation never happened. Actually, the deal was still going on because it was supposed to happen the following day around noontime. Around 12 o'clock, the deal was supposed to be done. We were signing everything. Everything was going to be completed. So I tricked myself and I asked myself questions as I was going to sleep at night. I said, what if that phone call never happened? What if the deal was still in place? How would I feel right now if he never called me, he never backed out of that deal? And then I would feel myself, I would take about 30 seconds with this. Okay. And I would convince myself that he never backed out of this deal. I'd ask myself, how would I feel if he never backed out? I said, I would feel relieved. I would feel natural that this sale was still going to happen. And then I did this about 5 times for about 30 seconds. And then I just drifted off to sleep. And the next morning, he calls me and apologizes. This was around 10 a.m. in the morning. This was 10 in the morning. I was already up for a few hours. and he had contacted me. And I was, I figured that maybe he wanted to talk about something related to that. Maybe he was looking for something else, or was apologizing again. I had totally forgotten about the fact that I had even felt that as I was going to sleep at night. I was already locked into creating different things. But he had called and he said that he apologized to me, but he said that he didn't know why he had backed out. He was just having cold feet, but he still wanted to do the deal. That something in his mind was just off, and he doesn't know why he even contacted me and told me that he didn't want the deal anymore. He contacted me and he was locked in. And we signed at the exact same time that we were going to prior to the conversation. So the simulation reflected back to me as if that conversation with him the day prior where he was canceling, the simulation did everything exactly the same. Everything happened exactly as it would have happened had he never contacted me and never canceled anyway. So it was like it never even happened. So when I went to sleep and I convinced and tricked myself that phone call never happened, that's exactly what was reflected back to me within the simulation. Everything worked out perfectly, exactly how listen, when you trick and convince yourself of something that the simulation is telling you can't have, but you feel that emotion and that feeling state as though it has happened, you can erase certain things that are happening within your current reality, or changing certain things that you're trying to create within your world and your business, just by convincing yourself in these moments, these powerful moments, that these things have already happened to you. They're already happening to you right now. And then you act upon those things, or you fall asleep. You fall asleep with that feeling, or you create something like I did with the vehicle, with the camera. You're isolating that feeling state of raising yourself up and connecting with the law of thought transmission through this conscious state, and convincing yourself that it's already happened. And then you're going to say certain things, or you're going to do certain things, and certain things are just going to happen that are going to mirror that back to you, because the simulation is just a reflection of your concept of yourself and what you consent to being true about yourself. So when you trick and convince yourself of something, it's going to happen to you. I'm telling you, when you start to master this ability, when you get control of your attention and you're very present and you know how to meditate, and you can slow time down and really feel this stuff and get so relaxed and detach yourself and master this ability with the muscle of your mind, I'm telling you that there's really, the sky's the limit to what you can manifest and manipulate within the simulation. Because I'm 100% convinced that this is a simulation. It's a holographic world that is just reflecting back to us what we consent to being true within ourselves and our conscious state. And you can manipulate it through convincing yourself of certain things that are happening to you throughout the day. And this is like self-mastery with the law of assumption, what Neville Goddard was talking about. But he was more primarily focused on falling asleep with it. And I do also believe that is a powerful point of inception with the subconscious, of convincing yourself of this. But most people are when they're getting ready for sleep, their mind is just so unorganized, and they can't hold their attention on a feeling state. They can't disassociate or detach themselves from what's happened to them in the simulation. They're so attached to these negative things that they can't just let that go and just trick themselves to believe. And you just have to get a little bit of training with the mind to be able to start doing this and really making some big changes in your life. And that's really what I've based my entire course within This World as a Simulation, my community on School, about. My course is designed exactly how I programmed my mind to be able to do this stuff in real time. And that's what I dedicate all of my success to. Not only just it creates a different version of you just by mastering it, but also you can generally just change different things within your reality and manipulate it as you go to give yourself, push yourself forward within, your business or whatever you're creating, with your physique or, entrepreneurship or relationships, whatever you're trying to do. This will assist you with tricking yourself to believe that things that haven't happened to you yet, or things that are going wrong, they actually never happened. And the simulation will reflect that change back to you. But ultimately, it's about changing your fundamental concept of yourself, and everything will generally work out the way it's supposed to. But you can still micromanage certain things by convincing yourself and tricking yourself about this. But it's about the training of the mind is the fundamental and the essential part of you being able to get into these states, by disassociating and detaching yourself from the simulation and convincing yourself just for a few moments that never really happened. And then training yourself to do that at night, and also training how the example that I gave you about the YouTube channel, turning the camera on right then and recording that new connection that you've just made with the simulation or the subconscious. And now I'm producing, different content that where I tricked myself to believe that I had a larger audience. So I'd made different content, had a different idea that connected with all those people. Even the comments that I get from those videos when I did that, everyone was like, I was just thinking about this, and everyone was like connecting. This just happened to me the other day and you just gave me the answer. I mean, I'm getting hundreds of comments where people are telling me that the content that I created, that they were just thinking about that it just happened to them, or it happened to somebody that they know. And it's because I connected to those people by convincing and tricking myself that they were already subscribers on my channel. And anyone can master this, guys. And there's nothing more that I want than everyone to start applying this, because it really creates a version of yourself that has better focus and better attention, and is very present, and is also just more conscious of everything that's happening around the world. And you become a kinder, more loving person in this pursuit as well. And as you start to gain success, you start to give that success. You start to provide more value and solutions to the world, and you start helping more people, providing the greatest good to the greatest number. And you start being able to do this even better. And then the side effect of that is abundance, success, wealth, happiness, growth, progress, in your life. And I want everyone to be able to achieve this. And I'm going to link another video on the screen for you right now where I talk more about the simulation, that you're living in a simulation, breaking that down with imagination and creating from internal states of concepts of self and how that generates within the simulation. I'm going to put that on the screen for you guys. I love you, and I will see you in the next one.